A 2-second tremble on an auto attack, a dash that can remove all slows, and a cross map laser beam that can reduce protections by a whopping 35% protection reduction. Hello, hobos and oblettes. Today we'll be talking about Atlas, Titan of the Cosmos. I'll be breaking down his ability kit to its entirety, all the bits, tricks, and things that make him tick. Atlas is a part of the Guardian class in Smite, so he deals magical damage and being a part of that class, giving him passive crowd control reduction, maxing out at 20% crowd control reduction at 20th level. Atlas is typically played within the support role, building protection items, utility items, and cooldown to set up enemies with your abilities so the rest of your team can burn them down.
What was once a burden is now mine alone to command. Come, gods. The time has come to answer for the torment you laid upon me.
Atlas's passive is called Astrolabe. Each time Atlas hits an enemy with an ability or an auto attack, he gets 1.25 energy for his passive. When he gets 20 energy, he gains an enhanced auto attack that takes 1.5 seconds to do. Attack speed doesn't affect this. It always takes 1.5 seconds. It also does 1.5 damage of a normal auto attack. Plus, doing even more bonus damage scaling off of your level in a large area. Lastly, trembling whoever you hit, whichever enemy with this large slam, they are trembled for 2 seconds.
Go forth!
Now on to Atlas's first ability, which is called Unburden. Atlas throws down his astrolabe on the ground, making an area of effect explosion that slows and replaces your auto attacks to be a slow in that area, doing damage and slowing each time you auto attack. But each time you auto attack uses 5 of your mana. Casting this also changes your second ability while your astrolabe is on the ground, or when he is holding it. And after 5 seconds, or if it is refired, it comes back to you. The max initial damage of the astrolabe hitting the enemy in that area of effect is 190 base damage plus 40% of your magical power, a max slow of 30%, with a duration of 2 seconds. The preceding's explosions delay max possible damage of 143 damage per explosion. The slow of this ability is best used for fleeing targets. Just to throw down your astrolabe to slow them as they run away. And you continue slowing them by just continuing to auto attack with your astrolabe on the ground.
Come crashing down!
Atlas's second ability is called Gravity Pull. When Atlas is holding the astrolabe, Atlas pulls in enemies in a cone in front of Atlas. Enemies who are closer to Atlas will be held for 2 seconds. Atlas can move at a reduced speed during this time. Then after those 2 seconds, the enemy is launched away from Atlas in a direction he is facing. The max damage of the pull does 170 base damage plus 35% of your magical power. Then when the astrolabe is on the ground, during Unburden, it pulls in an enemy in the area of Unburdened into the center of the area, holding them there for 2 seconds, then launching them towards Atlas, wherever he is on the battlefield, just on the outer edge of the area of Unburdened. The max damage of the launch is 170 base damage plus 35% of your magical power. Typically, picking up your enemies with the astrolabe in your hands provides you more crowd control, allowing you to move the enemy over a further distance, so you can move them during the ability. And they are thrown in a specific way, so you can throw them towards or away from your team. Using that as a peel tool for your team to get enemies off of your team is typically better. Using this ability while the astrolabe is on the ground is better for safety. Setting up your team from a range is a very strong ranged crowd control option. So allowing you to easily set up even before a fight may start to allow your team to go in off of your crowd control and start the fight, blowing up whoever you pull in from range is powerful, as you don't need to fully commit to the fight if you can CC the enemy from range.
Be not weighed down.
Atlas's third ability is called Kinetic Charge. Atlas charges forward, charging forward for a large distance or until hitting an enemy. While dashing, he is immune to slows and knockups. He also removes slows from his teammates. He dashes past while speeding them up as well. When Atlas collides with an enemy god, he will release accumulated burdens, or slows, in an explosion, slowing enemies in a 15-unit radius. For every slow he cleanses from his teammates, the slows that an enemy is inflicted with is increased by 25%, up to a maximum slow of 75%. The max damage of the impact is 280 base damage, plus 40% of your magical power, and a max movement speed increase for your team of 35% movement speed. This tool is useful as a tool for whoever you are currently addressing, whether peeling or engaging, to slow down your enemies, making it even easier for your team to chase them, as even at a minimum movement effects, they would have a differential movement effect of 60% of your team and the enemy, as the enemy is slowed for at least 25%, and your team is quickened by at least 35%.
Feel the weight of the world.
Atlas's fourth and final ability is his ultimate. It is called Gamma Ray Burst. Atlas calls down a beaming, piercing ray from the heavens for 5 seconds that does damage every half second, applying stacks of radiation that can stack up to 7 stacks at max level that remove protections and power. The max damage if an enemy stays in the radius for the whole 5-second duration does 650 base damage plus 100% of your magical power. Another max protection reduction of 35% and a max power reduction of 14%. Then, after 5 seconds or refiring the ray, it will focus and start traveling across the battlefield in a direction that Atlas is facing, dealing focused damage and applying 3 stacks of radiation to whoever is hit. The max damage of the traveling ray does 360 base damage plus 40% of your magical power. This is a very nice ability to fight around objectives, as it does remove protections from jungle monsters like Fire Giant and Gold Fury, and even Pyromancer, making it incredibly easy to burn down and kill those jungle bosses for any team. Any team. And if you're thinking about damaging an enemy, then both the focused, the tick damage, and if they stay in the radius, the laser does damage on top of that. So base damage alone, you're dealing like 900 base damage. That was Atlas's entire kit. So now we're going to some useful tips to help you excel at Atlas, as well as how you should be playing him in general to maximize his usefulness.
I control the heavens above. I wield their strength, and I will use this strength to bring forth a better future.
Building Atlas, he plays like a team fighting tank, so you want to build as many protections, utility, and cooldown, providing all the utility by having your abilities ready more often. A good build this patch is to start out with Benevolence, Mystical Earrings, and Bountiful Bow. Then, in order, build Prophetic Cloak, Gauntlet of Thebes, Chronos Pendant, Manticore Spikes, and Stone of Binding. Whenever you hit level 15, upgrade your starter to Heroism. As for your relics, I like to go Horrific Emblem and Racer of Radiance. This build provides you a 30% cooldown reduction and a lot of protections for you and your team, and a lot of utility with protection reduction and damage.
Overwhelming might.
Atlas's strongest point throughout the game is late to mid-game, as your team starts to group up all together, and objectives in the jungle become more valuable, as you're able to set down your ultimate to burn an objective and burn it incredibly fast, forcing the enemy to make a quick and rash, hopefully, decision. Make a choice over the objective to either go in while your team melts the objective to try to steal it, as it'll be melted by your team, or to simply give up the objective.
I will not topple so easily, gods!
Atlas during laning phase is typically played within the support role, making him start on long lane, doing basic jungle clear with your ADC, starting out with your first ability Unburdened, killing the starting camps of chest, green, and purple camp, then rotating to long lane / dual lane, trying to pressure out the enemy using your one or Unburdened, and auto attack the entire wave to help your ADC clear. Atlas's main goal in the laning phase is to safely make it through the laning phase, focusing on either helping your ADC clear or peeling them so you can rotate around to the rest of your team and help contribute with your mid and jungle in the core 3v3, as well as later in teamfights.
Unlike me, they crumble.
In teamfights, Atlas has a lot of peel and setup with his entire kit, each of his abilities giving some sort of crowd control. Hell, even his auto attacks at times giving crowd control. And you want to use, as such, all of his abilities, as all of them help your team during a team fight. When objectives come around, you're able to use your ultimate to burn them as well. And he likes to fight around objectives, and trying to zone enemies with his abilities, even before a fight may fully break out, as you don't need to fully engage to crowd control enemies. As discussed before, you can hit enemies with your 1, then 2, to get easy, safe range setup, even before a team fight may happen, or to engage into a team fight, to start out a team fight. That would be good initiation to start a team fight.
A token of strength.
Because of how power scales with magical autos, your auto attacks aren't damaging. They aren't going to be damaging ever, as magical characters scale by 20% of their magical power to their auto attacks. To explain what an auto attack cancel is, when auto attacking, there are specific phases to an auto attack. Auto attack canceling is the action of casting an ability right after the action phase of the auto attack. Atlas's auto attacks are special, however, after he gains a special auto that does extra damage and applies crowd control. The action phase of most of your basic slams is rather quick, and the preparation phase after is quite slow. So he is the perfect character to do auto attack canceling with. On top of that, it is beneficial throughout the entirety of the game for Atlas, as if you auto attack cancel, it'll stack your passive quicker, as your auto attacks and your abilities give you the same amount of energy in your passive, making that crowd control from your passive come quicker. That 2-second tremble come quicker.
I will continue forward.
Playing Atlas, you want to level your main clear ability first, as you want to farm the best you can. And your first ability will help you do that the best. It does the most damage possible. Damage at 195 damage at first level. Possible damage. After that, once you get to lane and hit level 2, getting your second ability, Gravity Pull, so you can start to run after the enemy, CCing them, then bringing them back to your other laner, so together you can damage them, and hopefully pressure them out of lane. At level 3, I like to put 2 points into his 1, just for more damage and clear on his first ability. At level 5, putting a point into your ultimate, then leveling his first ability, your main damaging ability Unburden, to give you as much damage as possible, and the increased slow. Then your third ability, Kinetic Charge, for the movement speed. Then his second ability, Gravity Pull, putting points into his ultimate whenever those points become available.
I alone command the heavens!
So, to look at what a full rotation of what your abilities can look like is this. Keep in mind, each time I say auto, it is asking you to auto attack cancel with his abilities. Atlas has a few combos that he can do, a few ways to play, if you would. Now, we'll start off with an engaging way to play in the dual lane. One, you start off with your one, poking the enemy from a distance and slowing them, immediately canceling into your dash, dashing at them, hitting the enemy, then auto attacking, then pressing 2, and walking and bringing them back to your ADC, and from there, your ADC should be able to either finish them off or heavily damage them. Then, very simple combo that you can perform at any time, anywhere. It's super safe. Your 1-2 combo. That's it. Just press 1 and then press 2. Pressing 1 and centering it right on their person. So, just 1, 2. That's it. And lastly, a full combo involving your ultimate to keep an enemy inside of your ultimate the entire duration of your ultimate. So you want a 4 right in the middle of, you want to put the enemy right in the middle of your 4, then you want a 2 and pick them up, bringing them back into the center of your ultimate. Then when they get launched, you want to auto 3, auto 1, and then continuing to auto attack for that prolonged slow to just keep them inside of your 4, just for those tiny little last ticks.
My body is forged through effort and determination. Facing me is a fool's tactic.
Atlas is one of the best guardians for team fighting and securing an objective, with still a ton to learn. And if you choose to hold the weight of the universe on your back, I wish you luck as your team is part of that universe. So you may take your rightful place among the gods and become the best god you can be.